Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we will learn about more library functions of Python. So without further ado, let's get started. So our first function is instance. Suppose x is equal to 3, then it is an instance of int class. Okay, it's not an instance of float, and you can pass a tuple here. Okay, so let's see this in action. That what is the output of this? I comment out this, run this. Let me increase the font. Okay. So it prints true, false, true. So either you give it one type or a couple of types, or you can possibly give it a union of type. Okay, so this represents a union in Python. Let's see. So it remains true. But if this type is not this second argument is not a type, then it will raise a type error. So for 6, it raises a type error. So now this is for is equal to 3. What about our objects and classes? So I have defined a class here, which is class A, and there is a class B which inherits from class A. I create an object of class A, so it is obviously an instance of class A, so this should print true. And I have created an object B, and I'm testing against class A. Now since class B is subclass of A, this will also return true. That is also returned for virtual classes, which we have not discussed yet. We will discuss when we reach the abstract base class library. Then we will know that for virtual classes also his instance will work out. So here there are two simple logic. One is A is instance of A, and B is instance of also A, and obviously B will be instance of B. Okay, so we put the here A. So we run this, we get true and true. So B is an instance of B, A and B both. So if you want to test if it is an instance of B, you can substitute this and will return true. Now one of the functions is subclass function. Next one which we want to discuss. We don't want to comment out the class. So subclass, if we look at this, it takes a class and it will determine if it is subclass of the second argument. So let's run this and see what it gives us. The first is false, other two are true. So A is definitely not a subclass of B. B is a subclass of A. A is subclass of A. So this is also true for direct subclasses, indirect subclasses, or virtual classes. For example, what we mean by indirect subclasses, suppose we have a class C which inherits from B. Do this, that print is subclass C comma A. So C is not a direct child of A but an indirect child, so this will also print true, which is the fourth case. So we see that how subclass works. So let's comment this out now. Now we look at iter function. Okay, so iter function takes there is some problem with the iter function takes an iterable and it returns an iterator object on it. So I have a list L. So if we pass it to iter function, it will give us an iterator and we can iterate over it. You can see in the for loop we iterate over it. Now this L argument to iter function can be a collection also. We'll see in a bit. So we print this and you will see what I is. I is basically an object. So it prints 1, 2, 3 and it prints list iterator object. What if we use a dictionary for this? So let's create a dictionary and let's see if we can iterate over it. Okay. I is equal to iter p for j in I and it prints x and y, that is the keys of the dictionary. Okay, and alternatively you can print the dj value, so it prints the key and value. Okay, that is what iter function is there. Now if it's a callable, then what iter does is it calls the object in its next function, and once next returns none, that is there is no more items to iterate, then an stop iteration exception is raised, which is handled inside the iter function. So that is the iter function. Now one of the uses of this is, suppose you want to read a binary file, then you can read it partially. You can read it in blocks. Okay, instead of reading everything in one go, you can read it in blocks and then process that block of file. For example, suppose you have a large file which you want to compress using gzip or zip or bzip. Then these do not read the entire file in one go, but they read a block of data and then they compress and then they move forward on to next block and so on till the end of file is reached. So this is the kind of function which is useful for such. Length, you already know. We have seen many examples of length. It computes the length of the iterable. So here we have a list 1, 2, 3, and here is my name. We'll print the length of those. And this first length is 3, that is the length of list, and second is 22. For this, I think underscore len has to be defined in the class. List class defines this, and same for string. So comment this out. And now locals is similar to globals as far as a module is concerned. Okay, since we have only one module, this will print same as globals. If we print globals, then it will print the same thing. Both will be same. But when there is a module namespace, when there are multiple modules and they lie in the same namespace, globals will print far more values than locals. Now we see map. So map is a very useful function. It comes from the functional programming tools. So what map does is its first argument is a function and second onwards arguments are iterables. So what it will do is it will pass the arguments of iterable one by one. Okay, for example, in this case, I will be 1 in the beginning and 1 will be returned by multiplying it with itself. Sorry, power 1 to the power 1 will be returned, and then 2 to the power 2 will be returned, and then 3 to the power 3 will be returned. So effectively, map will call the function as many times as there are elements in the iterable. So this will print 1, 4, and 9. Now the key point to notice is that it can receive multiple iterables. So example 4, 5, 6. In that case, you have to give 2 arguments here. So that we can return, for example, as a tuple. So we simply return j, or maybe this also as a power, and then you can return here for I comma j in map. So it raised those numbers to power also. Now one more thing to be observed is that if there is any iterable which is of short length, then it will stop execution after once the shortest table is exhausted. So for 3 and 6, it won't compute. Okay, so this should be K. So it will not execute for 3 and 6. So for 3 and 6, it did not execute. So that's all map function is about. Now we look at max function. What max does is it takes an iterable or several iterables and returns maximum of them. So from here it will return 3, from here it will return 5, from here it will return 6. Remember, see that these are all ordinary values, and then you want to supply a list, then you have to unpack it. Similarly, you can give it two lists and it will return the bigger list. Similarly, if the table is empty, you can pass a default value, otherwise an error will be raised. For example, let's keep this empty. You see what will happen. So it returns a value error for the last one. The first 4 are the expected values which we had. For the last one, it said argument is an empty sequence. So if any of the sequence is empty, then you have to give a default value. Now for if the arguments are string, then it will sort lexically. What does that mean is after 1, 10 will come, and then finally 2 will come. So max would be 2 here. Okay. Oh yeah, it's not sorting. Sorry for the confusion. If there is string, then the highest, this lexicographically, it will take the highest value. What I meant was that 10 will not be the highest, 2 will be highest, because 2 comes after 1 in the ASCII table. So it will behave as if you are going through words of a dictionary, going through words in a dictionary. So in a dictionary, the order would be 1, 10, 2. So 2 will come first, 2 will come later. That's why the last value is 2. That's the max function, and I'll stop here in this video. And in the next video, we will move on to more functions. I have not covered list, because list we will see when we'll actually see the list data type, and we'll see all the functions and gory details of list, what it contains. So for now, I'll stop the video. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be tomorrow, and I'll upload I'll upload video on more Python functions. Slowly, we will go through the entire standard library. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.